Hi, this is Cindy Shabley from the Web Seller Circle. When I think of GIFs, I used to think of those annoying, flashy elements on pages, but it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, you can create nice, eye-catching animations and use them in places you might not be allowed to embed Flash. I used it to highlight products in an eBay store banner recently, and I want to show you how I did it. So I started in Photoshop Elements and created the banner. And with Photoshop Elements, it allows you to create PSD files. Now, PSD files are important because you can use layers, and this is the magic. You can use these different layers to manipulate the images. So this was created on multiple layers. So the first thing that I want to do is go up to View and turn on the grid. This won't show on the picture. It's only going to give me some visual cropping cues. So first I'm going to crop the left-hand side, and that'll be the left-hand side of our banner. I'm going to save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to name it what I will recognize. And now I'm going to come back to Photoshop Elements and undo that crop. And here's where the grid becomes really important. I'm going to follow the same line and crop on the right side. Now I have what I'm going to start making my animated GIF out of. So this is the first of the pictures that I'm going to use in the sequence. So I'm going to go and save it as my first in the sequence, and I set up a special folder so I can find these images later, and I'll show you why that's important in a second. So again, I'm going to save this as a JPEG, and now I've got the first of the multiple pictures ready to go. And you'll notice down here I've got my layers, but I've also got a bunch of pictures open in my bin. These are the pictures I'm going to use for the animation. So I'm going to grab the next picture in the sequence, which is this jewelry here, and just slide it onto the layer over that silk purse. And again, I can change the size and dimensions of this picture to match. Once I have it, I'll just hit the check mark. And now I've got picture number 2 in the sequence. So I'm going to save that as my number 2 picture in my JPEGs in my tag folder. Just going to name it banner number 2 so I can find it really quickly. And save. So now I want to do it with the third picture. And I have 10 pictures all in a row, so I'm just going to go ahead and save this one and continue on with all 10 pictures until I have the 10 photos in JPEG format. Then I'm going to go over to Picasso. There are several of these online animators, but this is the one I'm going to use. And you'll see that there are several different sizes that you can use. This, I sized my right-hand banner to be 300 pixels wide. Now you're going to have to play with the speed. Of course, the faster it is, the more it'll look like motion. The slower it is, the more it'll be a rotating banner. Now I'm going to grab those pictures, and again they were in my tag folder, and I'm going to start uploading them from my computer. Picasso will allow you to have up to 10 photos in your animation. So if you have more than 3, you just add more pictures. And you can just open a series of them. As you can see, I can do a number of them. So I'm going to go ahead and upload all 10 of these pictures and be back in just a second. Now we want to create the animation by clicking on Create Animation. It takes a minute for this to render, so don't expect it to happen right away. But once it does render, you'll see a thumbnail view of it. So you can double check to make sure it's working for you. There we go. It's starting to rotate in the banner. I like the speed. That's just fine. Now you can link directly to Picasso. You can grab the HTML code if you want, but I'm going to save this animation to my computer because this is for a client. In case anything happens to Picasa, I will have it, but I'm going to eventually put it up on PhotoBucket. But I'm going to save the animation to my computer so I always have a copy. I'm going to name it something I recognize, so when I get in here into my HTML, I can find it fairly quickly. And once it's saved to my computer, the next step is to go into the HTML editor that you prefer. For me, it's front page. So here it is. I have it all set up except for the banner. Now I've got two cells, and I'm going to put the left-hand banner in one cell and the right-hand banner in the other. So I put my cursor into the left-hand cell. I'm just going to insert the picture now from my computer. I'm going to go grab that picture. Click on it and insert it. And now I want to make sure that my cursor is in that neighboring cell. So it's flashing at me, it's in there. So I'm going to insert it from the file, my tag folder, go down and get that picture. Now it's important to know that the table must be a fixed width, not a percentage. So you have to do a fixed width. I think this is 720. The other thing that you need to do when you set up the tables is that the cell padding must be 0 and the cell spacing must be 0. Of course, it goes without saying, if you think about it, the borders also must be set at 0. You don't want any borders going through this if you want it to tie together. So I like how it looks in the preview. Now it's time to move those pictures to PhotoBucket and then put them in the code. So when it's out in the internet, you'll be able to see the pictures. So here's the code. And you can see it's pointing to my computer files, and that's what I want to change. So I go to PhotoBucket, grab the direct link and copy it. And now I'm going to highlight the image circ tag and paste in the PhotoBucket URL. So that's the left-hand side. Now we need to do it for the right-hand side as well. Again, go to PhotoBucket, get the direct link, copy it, come back to the HTML editor, highlight the local URL, and put in the PhotoBucket URL. Now you're going to want to preview it, and be sure and preview it in Explorer and Firefox, and if you can, in Mac as well. If you have any little white lines, it means that your tables are out of alignment. So go back and check to make sure that they're all the same width. For instance, if this one's 720, every table must equal 720. Otherwise, the cells will try to readjust. I hope you found this tip useful. This is Cindy Shevely from the Web Seller Circle.